Cheers! Welcome to my channel. This is a timely tarot oracle reading about random shift. If you resonate with the title and or the thumbnail, this is the perfect reading for you. Delivered at the perfect time, in timely fashion, courtesy of the universe, through the language of synchronicity. This is a collective or general reading, meaning that parts may or may not resonate with you. So just take what works for you, leave the rest. This is also a timely reading. So that means if you're watching it right now, it is the perfect time for you. Having said that, if I posted this some time ago, what was going on in your life then, and that will, if you look into that, it may bring you further clarity regarding your situation now. We're going to begin with the underlying energy from the bottom of the deck. Yikes. So we have the Ten of Swords. So the Ten of Swords, it's a scary looking card, and it's not the most pleasant card in the deck for sure. But this is talking about being stabbed in the back 10 times and being left for unalive. This dark sky, and then the light here represents that there is light at the end of the tunnel. This represents the 10-year, the number 10. If you add 1 plus 0, it's a 1. So this is actually talking about a rebirth. The possibility of a rebirth after a transition. So this is talking about moving from the ending of one cycle and moving into another. And the person here has their hand in the form of a blessing, the same as the hand on the right hand of the Hierophant. And the Hierophant in tarot represents traditional structure and bringing justice through the court systems, etc. So this is the underlying energy for this reading. So there's been some sort of sabotage here for sure. And, you're in the recovery mode now is what's happening. So let's see. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. So the truth is going to come in, and, as I say, the truth will set you free. And this is talking about maybe whatever happened here. This can represent like a decade-long cycle. It can also represent one person sabotaging you 10 times. This can represent 10 people sabotaging you, and sometimes even like 10 groups. A lot of energy has been put into this. This isn't like, oh, these people kind of, sort of, disliked you. It's like they really wanted to take you down and stop you from doing whatever you were doing at the time. And the swords are in the tarot represent how disciplined your mind is, and your mental intelligence, and also the fact that the swords are double-edged. So there's always two sides to every story kind of energy. When you say, I'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and you have your hand on a Bible in a court of law. So there could be some sort of energy around some justice coming in regarding this situation. So let's look some more. Yeah, the world is talking. When the Fool begins their journey in the major arcana, he starts at the 0 point, and then he goes through 21 cards, and the last one is the World card. And the World is saying, this card is saying that you've completed a cycle, which makes total sense here. And that the energy is talking about having achieved something in that cycle, and now whatever it is that you needed to achieve, you've completed that cycle, and now you're ready to move forward with that information and start a new cycle. And hopefully a better one than this one is what's coming up. Like you've learned a lot from this situation and are ready to move forward now. And that's why this can sometimes be read as a blessing in disguise, because now you're ready for a lot more than you were before. Like you're not going to be naive about situations. Here we have it. So we have the Three of Wands. And so this person is standing on this shoreline, and there's the distant horizon there. There's a shoreline. This looks like it could be desert, so it could be a mirage, but it's actually water, and there's ships sailing by. And this person is standing there. The wands represent the element of fire and action. And this card is talking about kind of moving through a portal of energy and standing there, and you've been through a lot and deciding, I feel like I want to move on. I want to move into, so this can actually represent a physical move. He's got his right hand on this wand, and these two here is leaving behind. So it's kind of, he's done with everything he wants to do where he is now, and ready to move to a new place and take action in that, like by moving forward. So this can quite often represents that you're ready to actually physically make a move in your life, like perhaps taking on a new career. It can be an actual physical move from the location you're at, but it can also be about, okay, I don't want to do what I was doing for a living anymore. I want to do something different. I want to move on from a relationship, and I want to be free and this, quite often this card for me represents someone who was in a couple and now wants to move forward as a single person. And this is, now that you know what you know, you're standing your ground. And this is when you have conviction beyond a doubt. You know what you know, you've learned from this situation, and you just don't have maybe anything in common anymore with the people that you used to have, like talk with, have conversations with, think with, that kind of energy. It's almost saying like you've been rebirthed and you are now kind of a different person and your interests have changed. And this is talking possibly like the people where you were the ones that sabotaged you, and you have no desire to be around those people ever again. It's that kind of energy. Also, this card can represent the energy of conviction beyond a doubt in the way that it's when you have a sentence, like in a court of law, like conviction beyond a doubt. So it's talking that the people that did this most likely are going to be caught, and that's kind of maybe the energy. Perhaps you've been in fear of your life for some reason or whatever, because this is really this is really nasty energy. And we start the reading off with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is what you would say in a court of law. And then it's a whole new world if these people are convicted, and you can move on with your life then. That's the energy. So, and you notice here, this person has one boot on and one shoe on, and then there's all it's like he's having to fight off other people's actions. And this is, the wand he has is the one that's closest to his heart. I feel that's this one here. And this is what he's this is how, this is representing the energy of wanting to move on now in this way. And it can represent maybe he was in a real hurry and he had to protect himself, and he's went to higher ground to, fight to make sure that he isn't taken down all the way. And and there's, you notice there's more, it's not one-on-one here. This is the Seven of Swords, or Seven of Wands. So this is, 6 other people ganging up on one person at one time here. This also can represent straddling 2 different worlds here, like being in this world and not quite being in the new one yet. And maybe that's because you're waiting to find out if there's if there's a situation in the court of law. The Page of Wands, the Page of Wands, the pages would work for the king and the queen, usually from the age of 7 to 14. They would start, and they would work within the palace walls, and they would generally come from a family in the outlying area that, of higher society people, and go into an apprenticeship almost, like to learn how to, they would deliver messages back and forth for the court and run little errands and that kind of energy. And then it was kind of like an apprenticeship for possibly becoming a knight if they were, if they were were doing a really good job of it, and they could afford a horse by the time they were 21, they could be considered for knighthood. And the Page of Wands is the energy. So this card will represent some form of communication coming in. So it could be regarding the situation about the wands here. The wands represent action. And the Page of Wands is someone who is very enthusiastic about life. He has a feather in his cap, and like the tunic that he's wearing has salamanders in a circle, and it also has little lions on it. And that represents protection from fire. Fire is the element here. And so this is saying being really passionate about life and enthusiastic about life, and getting back in that energy. It's not necessarily your age, but it's more about identifying with the age of someone in that energy, not being afraid to anymore, and being able to be free to move on. Jump on your ship and go, your ships are sailing in and it's time to make a move kind of energy. And this is like being really the pyramids in the background here represent the mysteries of life and wanting to get back into that kind of energy again. And we have the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is sitting on his throne, and he is sitting in the middle of a bunch of chaos. It's like whenever you see rough water in tarot, it's representing volatile emotions, some sort of chaotic energy. But he's chilled right out. The King of Cups is the most emotionally available king out of all the kings in the deck. He has a cup of love, and he's just casually sitting there in the middle of all the chaos, waiting for it to settle down. And for when the time is right, you can see he's got his right foot forward. He's ready to step forward at a moment's notice. And he has his eye on someone, and he wants to deliver a cup of love. And I didn't mention here that this Page of Wands is more about, not about love, but about passion. And you'll notice, like, he's very, very focused on his wand. And so this energy can talk about someone who quite often thinks with his little head rather than his big head. Think of the age of a young man under the age of 21, that kind of enthusiasm. So this king is feeling very passionate about someone, and that may be you. Or this could be the king who's now feeling very passionate. I don't feel like this is king energy. Well, it could be. Kings can get sabotaged for sure. But usually they would have protection and wouldn't end up in this situation with like 10 swords, that kind of energy. We have, but the swords do represent thoughts and your mental intelligence and your discipline of your mind. So it could represent a king. We'll just say it could. Also, I want to point out that the cards in all of the characters on the cards in tarot actually are archetypes that represent an energy. And so the king could actually be a female in her masculine energy, and the knight could be a female as well in masculine energy. And so the Hangman is talking about whatever situation you were in. I feel like this is talking about when you survive this and you're like, okay, now what? And how am I going to be passionate about life again? You went inward. And the hangman hangs from the tree of knowledge, and he hangs upside down so that he can gain perspective. And when the aura around his head becomes bright, it's representing, oh, okay, now I understand what I need to do, and I have more balance, and I know how to move forward. As I said, the swords are double-edged, so it's kind of what can I do now where am I going to go if I'm moving forward? And this energy may say that you maybe met someone along the way and you're thinking, why don't I just go move to where they are? Or that is the plan kind of energy. So let's see. Yes, because then we have a reconciliation coming in. All right, so the reconciliation card implies that there needs to be forgiveness first. So you can forgive someone and choose to forgive. And really, forgiveness is about yourself. It's about pulling each of these out of your back yourself and forgiving, like the double edge, okay, this person did this to me. And of course, there's no excuse for this kind of energy. It speaks for itself. And, someone might be getting convicted for doing this kind of energy. But having said that, this is talking about what could I have done differently with this person, or what didn't I notice in the beginning, and how if I was to run into that sort of energy again, would I recognize it and would I do things differently to avoid this situation? It's talking about that kind of energy. And so, but forgiveness is something that we actually do for ourselves, so we can pull these out and get on with our lives and be, happy again. And but for reconciliation, forgiveness paves the way for reconciliation. You really can't have reconciliation without forgiveness. So once you forgive someone, you might decide that you want to still have them in your life as a friend or a lover or whatever. Having said that, I am a firm believer that people show you who they are the first time around. And if someone has left you like this, I mean, it's up to you, but I would highly recommend not engaging in the past. It's better to move forward with someone new, something new kind of energy. Having said that, this card can, that's totally up to you. But like from what I've seen over life, if people this isn't like just kind of sort of accidentally tripping you one day. This is like a calculated effort to take you down, And so this energy, the Six of Cups, is talking about reconciliation, and also it can be about reunions. And quite often this can represent reconciliation of your childhood energy. Like it looks like there's two children playing here and we have someone watching over them and they're in the yard and they're goofing around, with these cups. And it looks like he's making some sort of offer, but like, whatever the kids are doing kind of energy. But when you look closer, you realize those aren't kids. This is a gnome and this is a woman. And she's a little woman, but like when you look at her one direction, she looks like a very young woman. And in the other direction, she looks like an old hag. And so which is she? And the flowers in these pots represent innocence. White flowers represent innocence in the tarot. And the energy is these are actually from the nightshade family, and it's Datra. And Datra is it's a flower that's very high. This plant is highly poisonous, so you wouldn't let children play with it. It's very pretty. It blooms. It has like trumpet-shaped flowers, and it's very, very beautiful. But it's dangerous to have around children and pets because it can make them very sick. Sometimes shamans will use it in ceremonies to produce visions. And so this is something that, it's not something to be played with at all. You can become very ill if you ingest this. So why would you leave children to play with it? It doesn't make sense. But then you realize, oh, they're not children after all. And then you look here, and the person that's watching over them isn't a person watching over them. It's someone walking down the path. So there's no one watching them because they're not really children. So it's that kind of energy. And then she's wearing a white mitt, which says, I don't want to get my hands dirty. So he's offering her this cup of Datra, and she's like, no, it's okay. I don't want to get my hands dirty. That's the kind of energy. So it's just kind of a card of illusion. And so this is what it's saying. Sometimes when, you go back, like you can have, if you haven't been back to where you came from when you were a child, like elementary school and even like high school kind of energy, and you go to a reunion or something, in your mind's eye, you still remember people how they were when you last saw them. And then when you see them, like they're 20 years older, and it's like, whoa. And so this could be that you went to a reunion, or, you maybe went to back home for some reason or whatever, and ran into someone that you've known since childhood or whatever. And that is maybe this cup of love kind of came out of that situation. You bump into them and you're like, wow, you sure have grown up. That kind of energy. Would you like to go on a date? And maybe that's the kind of energy. And now, like, it's perfect timing, really, because you're looking at moving on anyway. And maybe, this is talking about making these moves, and really calculated moves. And but from having gone inward and studied this, like to understand what was your part in it, what can you do differently in the future so that you're not ever in this position again. And so let's see. This is also, okay, so this is the King of Swords. And so the King of Swords, lots of swords here, really, like, this is talking about this energy here. So the King of Swords is someone that would be a professional more than someone that works with their hands kind of energy. This is someone that could be a surgeon. It could be someone, they'll be at the top of their field because it's the king representing them. So generally this will be someone that uses their words to earn their living. And a lot of times it's like lawyers, politicians, that kind of energy. But if they're a lawyer, they are already a partner in a large law firm. If they are a politician, they're they're a prime minister, a president, and they might actually be a king, that kind of energy. It's like very high up, or like someone in the a minister of in the federal government, or the kind of energy of this could also be about law enforcement. So it can be about court systems, a judge, a Supreme Court judge, that kind of energy, a prosecutor, the head prosecutor. If it's a lawyer, it's someone who is in a large firm that's a partner, that kind of energy. So this is someone that uses their words to earn their living, whether that be written or vocalized. And the energy is like understanding the power of words, basically. So this is talking about wielding the sword here, and understanding that words can be used as weapons, and they can also be used to uplift. Words can be, talk is cheap. Actions do speak louder than words. If you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, what good is it? That's the kind of energy. Talk is cheap. That kind of, so it's kind of like, you have to prove, like if you say that you're going to do something and you don't follow it with that action, what benefit is that? So it's talking about all that that mental energy, and also being able to discipline your mind. So there's maybe some ways that you could have avoided this just through your different words that you used, or taking different actions at the same time, using your logic as well as your intuitive ability, and then taking action on that. And we're talking, there was a disappointment in your a cup of love. Oh, now this is taking on a little bit of a different context here for some, because this is talking about sometimes, this card is talking about disappointment in love. Now, generally this is romantic love, but it could also be disappointed in something that you love to do or be, and you were stopped from doing that. It can be maybe by the competition. This can be talking about that there was 3 people where there should have only been 2. And look at all this cup energy, right? And so this is talking like we have 3 cups instead of 2. This can be talking about having 3 different relationships here. And they were all disappointing, and wanting to figure out, like, how is it that I always end up like this at the end of my love relationships? This could represent also someone like the God in the universe saying, hey, here's another cup of love. This will be, and he's like, no, I don't think I want to have anything to do with love anymore. I don't want to make myself vulnerable again. I've been so disappointed. If this is a cup of the same old shift, I'm just not willing to take it. And this is talking about you want to heal from. If we're talking about romantic love and having love in your life, you definitely want to heal that energy, so that you deserve to have love, and the truth will set you free. This can also talk about having a third party, and the gift that is coming in. This can represent a child has been, like someone has become pregnant from the dalliance, if you want to say it that way, and now that kind of energy is in. So this can be a lot of different scenarios, but going from the bottom, we have the truth is coming in, and it's going to set you free. This could be regarding court, or it could just be you want to know the truth of what really happened here. And so this could be someone that you love stabbed you 10 times in the back, that kind of energy. Or, this can be like what we were talking about before, where it's competition or whatever, and there was a lot of people involved. It can be that this has been happening for like a decade of energy at least. So, the truth will set you free, and you've gone inward, and you've really studied this because you want to understand how you can do things differently and look at things from all perspectives. And perhaps you've met someone that... that you're interested in having a new cup of love with, and you're afraid because you don't want to be disappointed again. But the energy of the King of Swords, quite often it's interesting because the King of Swords, out of all the kings, is the most likely to be someone who's separated, and or divorced, or this can represent hiring a divorce lawyer kind of energy. So it could be like you're healing from that energy, and there was a lot of people talking about it, or it was very public or something. And it was definitely like this energy, someone was in this energy and stepped out of the marriage, And this is like you are decided now, I'm going to stand my ground. I deserve to have love. I'm going to give it another go here. But I'm going to move on. I'm going to do it differently this time. It's that energy. I'm going to learn from my mistakes from the past. So let's see. We'll clarify this. If you're enjoying this reading, please give it a like and comment. It empowers me to build my channel, and I really appreciate it. Also, I'm using my Tales from the Vector Oracle to clarify this. Let's just see. Remember, this is a general collective reading, but basically it's saying, you know, the truth will set you free, and it could be really hard. It could have been really, really challenging to hear the truth. It definitely is about love, and it is saying it's time to move on. And even if that's just in a mental way, like so that you can accept, like figure out, you know, how can I do things better, and then be in a place where I can have love in my life again. You deserve to have love in your life, and that's kind of like, you want to stand on that. You know, you deserve to have that energy in your life, and you know, if you stay in this energy, you know, it's not fair to you, and it's not going to benefit you. All right, and so we're going to clarify this. The Tales from the Vector is from courtesy of the Intergalactic Federation of Light. I started this in 2007, and in 2020, I completed the 64th painting. And so now I'm getting ready to bring it out, but I'm working with the cards because, as you may have found out here, what looks really good on paper, sometimes when you actually live with a person, it can be very different. And with the cards, putting them into action, I can, when I have the book that goes with the cards, I want to make sure it's correct. All right, so to clarify this, we have the energy of the Hierophant coming in. So the Hierophant is that traditional structure that I'm talking about, to bring justice to this situation. So that I feel like this could be, I mean, you could be in divorce court, or it could be a paternity suit, that kind of energy, or it could be that this was done by people that you were in competition with in work related. It's something you love to do kind of energy, and that there's actually, they could be convicted of a crime for what they've done here. Because we have this card, the truth is, you know, let's see, what is this about? The Wheel of Fortune is turning. So when the truth comes in, it sets you free, and you have a whole new different world. You might be in fear of your life, and that's kind of the energy. And like, if these people are locked up and you move away, this could even represent taking on a new identity through an FBI program or something like that. You know, stranger things happen, and there is a major tower. And so this could represent a divorce, but this energy is talking about the worst divorce is from source. So if you get off your destined path, then you can end up, you know, in situations. And the reality, the tower is a reality check. It's talking about having like eventually things coming to a head, which definitely this is here. And that you have to, something has to be done about it. And you can't pretend anymore that this isn't happening. This could represent an energy you just didn't want to, like, believe that that the person that you loved would sabotage you in this way. But it could have been even something to do, because these cups are coming up, right? Oh, take a cup, take a cup. What's in the cup? That kind of energy. Maybe there is some energy around that. You know, stranger things happen. Like, it's, so just whatever resonates with you, you'll know if, you know, on your side, on your end, if this is about your partner, or if it's about something to do with business, or, you know, that kind of energy. To stay on your destined path takes temperance. And so temperance is about not like being in control, you know, disciplining your mind so that you don't go, and disciplining also your emotions so that you don't be really, really impulsive and do things that could, you know, have really dire consequences for you. There's some energy here for sure. The devil's coming in here. So the devil is about temptation. Having said that, it's also about people like in this attitude of, like, this is like seriously, like, you know, you're down on the ground here. And there's been, it's calculated. And so it could be that there is court around that. You might have been attacked in some way, that kind of energy. What I always do when this card comes in is, it's about temptation. So it could also be about talking about being sabotaged by your lover and they were cheating on you, that kind of energy. So when this card comes up, you're not going to get the truth from the devil, because the devil's very manipulative. So we're going to see the devil has to send a minion in. He's not going to do his own dirty work. So who does he send in, or what happens here? What is it about? So we're talking about the Sagittarius energy. I want to say right now, we're not talking about an actual person here. I'm not. That may resonate for you. Right? No, it was a Sagittarius who did this to me. That could be possible. But my goal here is more recognizing that we all have the signs of the horoscope in us. We all have a little bit of each sign in us. And so when I'm doing a reading, I'm talking about what is the state of being of that sign when it's at its best, and what are the dangers of what it's at its worst. And the Sagittarius energy is talking about really like this energy it's sitting right on, of this being really like enthusiastic and passionate and being impulsive. Think of young men, how impulsive they can be. It's that kind of energy. And also how I said, wanting to know about the mysteries of the world and go on adventures, etc. So this is about wanting this. It's also talking about this energy here about expansion. So really wanting to, do something new, something different. And that can be very impulsive and end up in this kind of energy here. So we have the energy of Aquarius. So this is, again, about wanting to experiment more. So this can just talk about immaturity, and that's why this person has sabotaged you, is because they're just really immature and they're not grown up enough yet to be in a serious commitment. And maybe that's something that you kind of understood, but you didn't listen to your intuition. And this is also sitting on the reconciliation card here. So this is talking about, being in this energy. Like if you were going to reunite with someone from your past, like really looking at it and saying, what were they like? What was our relationship about? And does it feel anything like this energy? Just, be it's talking about basically the Aquarius energy is talking about doubling down on what works for you. And like if you've had something happen to you in the past that has been like this, how would you avoid it? Observing, okay, this was the result and it was because of this or that. Yeah, and then we have the Libra energy. So the Libra energy is when you're mature enough to be able to move forward and make a commitment and understand what it means to be married and what it means to raise a family and what that commitment all entails, and be really sure of it. So this is about being able then to anticipate having a really good life rather than having expectations that it's just going to work out when you're actually in this energy. And I really do feel that this is talking about an energy of just, if it's about your lover, that you were both immature and weren't ready for a commitment. And maybe that's something that now you're getting, like okay, now I understand, and I'm going to take responsible for my part in this, of what happened, and recognize that, this could be saying that, this card here could be saying that you were with someone that, from high school forward kind of, and then you both have changed so much. And it was, if you're really young and you have a relationship with someone and that's the first person that you've met and you've never dated anyone else and you've been with them for a certain amount of time, and then you want to experiment in this, energy, it would be kind of a normal thing. Like it's kind of like having skipped a step in there somewhere. So this is just, I feel this is just talking about the energy of life. And then sometimes, we end up, I feel like this is divorce lawyer energy and getting, moving on, getting it all wrapped up, and so that you can move on and have another relationship and so can your partner, that it's more suitable for you now that you're maybe 10 years older than you were. You might have been like 15, 16 when you met, and now you're 25 and 26 kind of energy. And that just so happens to be 20. We just moved from 2025 to 2026 as I'm doing this reading. So it could be a decade of energy of being with someone, but you were so young when you met and when you started out that now you both are totally different people. All right, I do hope you've enjoyed this. Like and comment if you had. Really, really would appreciate it. It helps me build my channel. Subscribe if you resonate, and I will be back with another reading about random shift in a short while. Bye for now.